Learn CSS Flexbox in 5 minutes. First, we need to create our parent container, and inside of our parent, we're going to have 3 Flex children, each with their own custom class. So we're also going to include text within each one of these so you guys can see which one is being manipulated throughout today's video. Now you can see that our structure is set up with a parent and the respective children here. And if we take a look at this, you're going to see that our elements by default are displaying as a block element, and they take up the entire view width from left to right. And what we're gonna do is actually add some styling so you guys can see what's going on here. So now we're gonna start by targeting our Flex parent class, and we're gonna change our display from block to Flex here. And you're gonna notice that our items are displaying from the left to the right here, and our Flexbox is present. Now we need to look at the flex direction, and by default the flex direction is going to be set to rows. You guys will see that nothing happens here. But if we change this to column, it will display our elements in a column format. So for now, even though it's set to the default, we're going to change this back to row. And then we also want to add a height of 15 rem so you guys can see the layout a little more clearly. So in our Flexbox, the default styling is going to be that all the children are aligned all the way to the left and all the way at the top. But to align our content on the center of the main axis, and in this case, it's going to be our horizontal or x-axis because our flex direction is set to row, we want to use justify content and change this to center. And now you guys can see that our items are aligned on the main axis, which again is the horizontal or x-axis right in the center. And if we change this to space around, what you guys are going to notice is that our items are spaced evenly apart, and one of these are split in half, and one half goes here and the other half goes at the end. But we can also do space between, which is going to position our elements equally apart with no space on the left or the right. But if we want equal spacing between our elements and between the left and right side of our website, what we can do is specify space evenly. And now you guys will see that we have equal spacings on the left, right, and between each one of our elements. So we'll leave it like that for now. And if we change this to column, you're going to see that our main axis switches to the Y or the vertical axis, and now justify content is aligning our items to the center of our Y axis. Now we're going to align everything on the cross axis, and since our flex direction is set to row, our cross axis here is going to be the Y or the vertical axis. And to do this, what we want to do is specify align items to the center, and now you guys can see that it's aligned along the cross axis, which is the Y or vertical axis in this case. And if we shrink this page down, you're going to notice that our items do not wrap onto the next line. They just compress against each other here. So if we want to change that, we can change our flex wrap property to wrap. And now if we shrink our page down, they will wrap respectively onto the next line. Here our items are right next to each other, so it looks really ugly. So to change that, we can add a gap property, and I'm going to change this to 1 rem, and you're going to notice that now our items are spaced apart a lot cleaner. But let's say we get rid of flex wrap here. What's going to happen is our spacing is going to stay and our items will instead shrink. We're going to target our second child, which is going to be this element here. What we can do is actually change the order of this. So if we want our second child to be first, we can change this to -1, and that's not working because I accidentally left these all as child 1 classes. So go ahead and change that, and now you guys can see that our second child is displaying all the way at the left. But if we want it at the end, we can change this to +1, and now it's all the way at the right. But keep in mind that using this property is going to mess up your accessibility. So do not use this unless you absolutely have to. We can use the align self and we can use flex start, and you're gonna notice that it's gonna move it all the way to the top. And we can also change this to flex end as well to move it all the way to the bottom of our flex container. But for now, we don't want to do that. We want to keep them all even with each other. Next, we're going to manipulate the flex grow here, and this is going to change the size of your element. As you guys can see here, now it's taking up the entire space because we're specifying flex grow. And if we don't want this element to grow inside its container, we can change it to 0. Change our flex shrink property. So if we leave this as 0, it won't shrink when we change the size of our viewport. So now if we get really small here, the size of our element is not going to shrink, as you guys can see right there, because our property won't let it do so. And then we can also change our flex basis, which is going to change the starting size of your element. So if you want to start it off at 200 pixels, you can specify that here. Flex is going to be the shorthand for flex grow, flex shrink, and flex basis, as VS Code will show you here. So you can set 3 properties as such, or you can just negate these last 2 properties and only have 1, which will specify your flex grow property. But for now, again, we don't want this, but just keep in mind that this is the shorthand for these 3 properties. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this video helped out. If you have any questions, go down below in the comments and let us know, or go to our website at kalmanwebdesign.com.